What's going on, everyone? So I just came from doing an estimate at a storage unit to do 2 unit cleanouts, which I love doing cleanouts. There's just something satisfying about them, and they're big jobs, obviously. But it's a guy who sells arcade games to like businesses. So not just like he flips them, but he actually sells them to businesses, in like 50 to 100 quantity deliveries at a time. So interesting. Um, but they're outdoor storage units, which is a blessing because indoors just make things so much more time consuming. It's terrible. Um, but they're 10 by 20 units. One of them, I'm taking like 80% of the stuff. The other one would be about 90% because there's like the steel ones they want to keep. And these are arcade games like you would play like Pac Man on. So like the press board wood walls with the screen in the middle and the platform. Beep, beep, boop. And one of them has about 15% of it's not going. It's a casino style or steel that they're going to keep. And then the other unit, I'm taking all but like 5 or 6 that they're going to use for repairs. So it ended up being like a $1,700 estimate because I quoted it for a little under 3 trucks. Um, and then I tacked on a speed pack charge because there's a bunch of little small miscellaneous parts. I can just throw them on there. But I was talking to the guy because the guy lives in Chicago, but his dad was there with me, and I was talking to him about it and stuff. And he was asking about the truck, and he's like, one guy came by in a pickup truck like yours, but he was gonna use the pickup truck, and I was like, that sounds like a terrible idea. You get maybe like 4 arcade games in each one, and they're not crazy heavy, but they're not light enough to like really pick up and put in a pickup truck. So unless you had an appliance dolly with the roller tracks on the back, like yeah, you could probably get it up there yourself, or you could slide them in and then pick them up again. But that would take forever. So I doubt that guy's gonna want to even do it. Um, but they sounded like interesting people. He was telling me that he would be able to use me in the future. So hopefully they go with it. I could use the 1700. I have a lot of expenses from like the trailer recently, and then my brother, who's the water, is putting the walls on the trailer soon. So everything's just kind of getting piled on, and it's not as busy as it was last year. And I've followed some other YouTube drunk removal guys on here, and I guess it's like the same thing all around the country. This year, at least like since January, it's just been a little slower than usual. Because usually like my January is good. February is a little tricky. March is like kind of wavy, but overall it's about the same as January. And then like towards like the mid-April into May is when it gets busy because we're heading into moving season, which is the summer, and it's pretty much it's pretty identical to moving. I've been doing the moving for a few years now, and it's pretty on par with moving, which makes sense too. But I kind of figured. I told the guy like I was like I have to work. I'm getting work done on my trailer, so I'll probably just come in a large U-Haul and just do it all in one trip, and still charge as if I had the trailer. That doesn't change. But I figured, it's something I could easily do by myself. I could park the truck right out front, use one hand truck, and just boom, 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 load everything. I could probably do the whole job in less than 2 hours. Um, and then as far as the disposal goes, I kind of was thinking, like, I've taken them apart for moving with the moving companies. I've taken them apart before. There's like 8 screws, and you could pop the whole thing apart. You have the screen in the middle, you have all the wiring crap in the bottom. I figure I could just gut out all the wiring, put it in a box, bring it to the landfill at the recycling center, and recycle it for free. And then the screens, if it's worth it, I don't know how far I can really go without spending too much time on it. But if I could pop all the screen, the monitor backs out, and do the same thing, recycle them at the recycling center, I will. If it's gonna take 4 extra hours to really break it down, I'll probably just try to dump. But I figured with all the wood, um, just pop them all down and spend a few hours doing it, or doing the back of the damn U-Haul truck. Break everything down, put all the wood in the pickup truck, and just go run construction drops. And then just kind of play around with it. Maybe keep one of them. Some of them look like they're in pretty good condition. I'm sure they don't work, but It'd be kind of cool just to keep as like decoration. And my brother is real into gaming and anime and stuff like that, and just cars and has all these little funky things. So he might like one. But I thought it'd be kind of cool. At least maybe keep a couple. Um, I don't think they would really be sellable unless a guy just doesn't want to deal with it because there's so many. I'd be surprised if none of them could be sold. But I don't know anything about arcade games. But yeah, I was doing the math, and it's like, figured 2 hours for the job by myself, so I don't have to pay for labor. Let's say 4 hours, maybe even 5 or 6 to break everything down and get it into like sections. I could return the U-Haul truck, so I don't have to do an overnight hold for it, and then just run trips on my own the following day. Let's say $250 for expenses, including the truck and gas. That's not bad. Make a $1,500 profit. Keep a couple of the units for decoration. But yeah, I recently was at public storage. Really, really convenient to like where I keep my trailer. Like literally, it's a neighborhood across the street. It's like not even a half a mile from like the driveway that I keep it in. And I was talking to the manager there, and he gave me the number for the district manager to contact about doing a vendor position. And I reached out. I was like, "Hey, I'm interested in doing a vendor, blah blah blah." And they replied with, they need a copy of my COI, of course, with a 1 million minimum GL. And I was like, no problem. And then he told me their pay rate is $12.50 per cubic yard. That sucks. That's like terrible. Like, I did the math, and like my trailer when it's done will be 390 cubic feet. So only 10 less than 1-800 Got Junk. I try to keep it as like competitive as possible. One day I might throw an additional foot on it, because then it'll bring it up to 464. But for now, 390. And I was doing the math, and like, if you were to divide that into cubic yards, which is 27 cubic feet, it would be 14 and a half cubic yards for my trailer, which means that at their pay rate, a full trailer load would be $175. That doesn't even match my 1/8 price. And it's like I was trying to like weigh out the pros and cons, and I was being positive. I was really thinking optimistic about it, because I was thinking, it's a public storage in the city where my business is based in. It's super close to home. It's only an indoor building, but it's only 2 floors, so it's not like I'm really battling too much with the elevators. There's a nice, good-sized loading dock compared to most. Figure every time I'm there, I have the truck with the magnets, I have the trailer with the walls. It's just full-on advertising to everyone that's there doing their, normal stuff. It'd be a lot of content for social media. I could use that as a marketing ploy to other storages and say, hey, I'm a vendor at so-and-so. Here's the typical stuff they have me do. Is that something I could work with your facility as well? And then it's something that I could also use and figure it's all indoors, so there's going to be trash, of course, but you got to imagine that a lot of the units are going to have decent stuff in it, at least stuff I could probably sell on the side and make up for that such low cost of the work being done. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of wiggle room with what's the difference between construction. Like, if a guy was a contractor and he had, granite slabs in there for countertops and had boxes of tile and stuff, and he just wants to trash the whole thing, are they going to compensate me for the weight versus a bunch of random furniture? Because that's easily a couple $1,000-pound difference. That's a big chunk on my part. Or what if I'm just going to pick up a king mattress and a box spring? $24 for 2 cubic yards? Like, it doesn't make sense. So I reached out to another YouTube channel. I had met them earlier this year, Sonoma Hauling. They're in California. And I kind of ran by him because I know they have a few vendors for storage units. and he was saying he doesn't think it's worth it, and I kind of agree. Like, it would be nice to have like something consistent, even though it's not so much a surplus. I was kind of looking at like the positives, but I put a lot of signs up around storage units within the last month, and surprisingly, a lot of them are still there. I guess storage units don't care, or they like, nah, it's good for us, because then less people dump. Maybe, I don't know. So I may just push that a little farther, and just every storage I'm just gonna go around and throw all my signs out in front of, because that's where this arcade for the 2 units came from. Is all my sign out front the storage. So I may just push for that and just try to get the individual people. I am going to, every quarter, I like to go to apartment buildings and market for vendors, or to just leave cards by. I may push for more vendor opportunities, because at least with the apartment buildings, they're not picking the price for you. They're kind of going with your price. You're just being a little bit lenient with it, so they keep you. So I'm going to be pushing for that soon, probably this Friday, actually, unless I have a job lined up. But yeah, it's been slow. It sucks. I'm actually considering putting the work done on my trailer on my own personal car, and then just doing a reimbursement later on in the year, and then just write it off as equipment or something. But yeah, it's not going too well. Luckily, I have the damn moving, but even that's kind of iffy, because though it is moving season, and the problem is that everyone's moving down. So I'm in South Florida. Everyone's moving down to South Florida, which means that locally we don't need moving. They're already coming down with moving companies. So although it's usually like slammed starting like May, and then June and July are obviously just out, crazy. It's actually like, it's busy, but it's not as busy as it's been in the last couple of years, at least with my company. And the company I work with is big. They're one of the biggest ones down here. But in my experience, it's been busier. So just trying to keep my head up. I did get new cards. I don't have an old card to show you, but I will show you my new one. So this is my new card. What's annoying is my old card had a blue line underneath the title, and then I had junk removal and move labor underneath it, so it looked kind of nice. But I've completely just banished move labor from my services. I only do it as like a side job now. So I just went ahead and blew up the title. I made all the wording a little bigger. The furniture, appliances, and cleanouts are the same thing that my signs say and my magnets say. And then on the back, I just did a little clutter, because it's clutter reduction. So I got some of those little purchases versus the big ones, but I don't know. I'm curious. Obviously, a lot of the bigger guys are a little slow as well. I want to know, with those of you who aren't as big as franchises or more small businesses, how are you doing this year so far with work? Have you been seeing surpluses, or is it been kind of iffy? Like, I'm doing better this year than I was last year. Last year was my first full year in business. So I started in September 2020, but I wasn't like really taking on jobs seriously until the start of 2021. So this year, I've already almost doubled what I did in the first quarter last year. It's just not what I was expecting to have happen, which is annoying. And then I'm sure the fact that I got a damn pickup truck and got the trailer, and those are big expenses. So can you stop? Freaking cameras. Obviously those are big expenses, and they're outweighing the income at the moment. So it's tricky, I guess. But I'm gonna head in. Everyone's coming home from work. So if I get that storage unit job, I'll film a little bit of it. I think it'd be a pretty cool job to get, and I'll kind of show how I break everything down. Hopefully it's the same as it was when I did the moving. Otherwise, I'm going to be stuck with a lot of freaking units. But yeah, let me know how your business is going and what you think about that vendor situation with the storage unit. Do my positives outweigh the negatives, or is it just not enough money? Because I don't think it's enough money, and I don't think they'll be lenient with it either. It would be cool to have, like, say, like, oh, I'm a vendor or so and so, and then use that for everyone else. But I just don't think the money is there. So, let me know what you think. Thank you, and good luck with your businesses.